If you paused your day to be here, if something in you recognized this space before you even read the title, if silence has become more comforting than conversation, stay. You were drawn here for a reason. Not by algorithm, not by chance, by something deeper. In the next 20 minutes, we won't explain what's happening to you. We will simply hold space for it, because some truths don't need teaching. They need witnessing. Before we begin, I need to tell you something. Not everyone who enters silence is ready to meet what lives there. But if you've been feeling the pull, if you've been withdrawing without knowing why, you're already standing at the threshold. And what waits on the other side isn't emptiness. It's everything. Let's begin where you already are. In the quiet. In the quiet, there are prayers spoken in cathedrals, voices lifted in unison, words rehearsed and repeated until they become ritual. And then there are prayers that have no sound, prayers that live in the pause between breaths, prayers that are felt in the body before they are understood by the mind. If you've been feeling pulled away from noise, from constant explanation, from the need to name and justify everything you feel, you are not broken. You are not depressed. You are not lost. You are praying. Not in the way you were taught, not with folded hands and closed eyes, though those have their place. You are praying with your entire being, with your withdrawal, with your silence, with your refusal to participate in what no longer resonates. This is not apathy. This is not spiritual bypassing. This is not running away. This is the most honest thing you've ever done. Because here's what no one tells you. Some chapters are not meant to be shared. Some transformations happen in the hidden places, where no one is watching, where no one is applauding, where there is no evidence that anything is happening at all. And yet, everything is happening. You are being rewritten in a language the world does not speak. You are being reconfigured in frequencies the culture cannot hear. You are becoming intimate with a presence that does not announce itself, that does not demand attention, that simply is, and you recognize it. Don't you? That's why you're here. That's why you clicked. That's why, even now, something in your chest is saying yes. This, finally, someone is saying it. You are not imagining this. You are not making it up. And you are not alone. Here's the truth. You didn't search for this video by accident. You might think you did. You might think the algorithm simply suggested it, that your finger happened to scroll past. That curiosity got the better of you. But in the way that thirst draws you to water, in the way that cold draws you to warmth, in the way that a soul in transition draws toward the very thing it needs, even when the mind doesn't know what that is yet. You are here because some part of you recognized the frequency of this space before you even clicked. It recognized the tone, the pace, the permission to be still without needing to justify it. And that recognition, that's not random, that's resonance. You've been moving through a world that demands constant participation, constant visibility, constant proof that you are growing, evolving, becoming, and somewhere along the way, you begin to feel tired. And the world called it withdrawal. But you're beginning to suspect it's something else entirely. It's selectivity, it's discernment. It's the soul saying not everything deserves access to me anymore. You needed to know that this pull inward isn't pathology. This space understands. Now let's address the fear, because I know it's there. I know that as much as this silence feels like relief, It also feels like risk. And emptiness. Emptiness is not what you think it is. The world has taught you that empty means void, hollow, lacking. Emptiness is fullness beyond form. It's not that nothing is there. You are not empty. You are spacious, and there is a difference. Spaciousness allows. When you walk into a vast, empty cathedral, do you feel the absence of people? It is thick with the prayers that have been whispered there, the grief that has been held there, the awe that has been felt there. You have to be still. You have to be silent. You have to let the soil of your soul rest. And I know that feels counterintuitive. I know the world told you that growth is loud. That transformation announces itself. That awakening looks like ecstasy and revelation and sudden, undeniable knowing. But that's not the only way. Sometimes awakening looks like forgetting. Sometimes transformation looks like dissolving. Sometimes the most profound growth happens in the dark, in the quiet, in the spaces where no one is watching and nothing is being documented. This quiet is not empty. It is full of becoming. So why does it feel like the world is moving faster while you are slowing down? Why does it feel like everyone else is out there doing, building, manifesting, creating, while you are here simply being? Because not every season is meant to be loud. And this is yours. The culture will not affirm this. The culture profits from your productivity, from your visibility, from your constant engagement. But the soul operates on a different economy. The soul knows that there are seasons of planting and seasons of harvest. And right now, you are in the fallow season. Fallow doesn't mean dead. It means resting. It means letting the soil regenerate. It means trusting that nothing is being wasted, even when nothing is being produced. You are not falling behind. You are falling inward. And that inward fall is not collapse. It is return. Here's what makes this so hard. You didn't choose this. You didn't wake up one day and decide, I think I'll withdraw from the world for a while. I think I'll stop being social. I think I'll sit in silence and see what happens. No. This happened to you. It might have started with exhaustion or a sudden, inexplicable loss of interest in things that used to matter. You might have tried to push through it. You might have told yourself it was just a phase, just burnout, just a rough patch. But it didn't pass. It deepened. And now here you are, in a pause you didn't ask for, in a stillness that feels both like relief and like exile. So let me reframe this for you. What if this pause isn't punishment? What if it's protection? What if something wiser than your conscious mind looked at where you were headed and said no? Not that way. Not anymore. What if this withdrawal isn't you giving up, but life pulling you back before you lost yourself completely? I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. I'm not saying it isn't disorienting. I'm not saying you don't feel the grief of who you used to be, what you used to want, the future you thought you were building. But I am saying this. The pause is sacred. It is the moment between exhale and inhale. It is the silence between notes that gives music its meaning. It is the rest that allows the body to heal. And you, my friend, are healing, not in the way the world measures healing, through progress, through achievement, through visible transformation. You are healing in the invisible places, in the places where beliefs are being dismantled, where identities are being, where old versions of you are being released with as much gentleness as you can manage. This is not a breakdown. This is a breaking open. And yes, it feels like death sometimes, because it is. You are dying to who you were, and that is terrifying and holy and necessary. So when the world asks you what you're doing with your life right now, and you don't have an answer that sounds impressive, remember this: you are in the sacred pause. You are being tended to by forces you cannot see. You are being held by a presence that does not need you to explain yourself. And that is more than enough. There's something else happening in this season, isn't there? You're losing your words. Not in a tragic way, not in a way that suggests something is wrong, but in the way that a snake sheds its skin, in the way that winter trees drop their leaves. You are releasing language. Conversations that used to feel meaningful now feel hollow. Small talk feels unbearable. Even deep talk feels insufficient. It's not that you don't care about people. It's that words no longer feel like the right currency for what you're experiencing. How do you explain this to someone who hasn't felt it? How do you tell your friends that you're not avoiding them? You're just elsewhere. You can't. Not really. Because what you're experiencing exists before language. It lives in the space where meaning is felt, not thought. Where truth is embodied, not articulated. And the more time you spend in that space, the less you want to leave it to explain yourself. This isn't antisocial. This is pre-social. Or maybe it's the recognition that not everything needs to be shared. Not everything needs to be understood. Not everything needs to be translated into a story that makes sense to other people. Some experiences are meant to be lived in solitude, not because they're secret, but because they're sacred. If this is touching something in you, subscribe. Not for me, for you. So you can return to this room whenever you need it. And the sacred has always required silence. Think of every spiritual tradition, every mystical path, every contemplative practice. They all lead to the same place. The place beyond words. The place where God is not a concept, but a presence. Where truth is not a doctrine, but a direct experience. Where you are not a person with a story, but a soul in communion. And you can't talk your way into that place. You can only be there. So if you've been feeling the loss of language, if you've been struggling to articulate what's happening to you, if you've been avoiding conversations because you just don't have the words, stop trying to find them. This is not a failure of communication. This is an initiation into a deeper way of knowing. You are learning the language of silence, and it is richer than any words you've ever spoken. You are not the only one here. I know it feels like it sometimes. I know the isolation can be overwhelming. I know you look around, and it seems like everyone else is out there living, connecting, thriving, while you are here, alone, quiet, still. But that's not the whole picture. There are others, so many others. They're not loud. They're not visible. They're not posting about their journey or building a brand around their awakening. They're simply here, in the silence, in the solitude, in the sacred withdrawal. And you are one of them. This is not a community in the traditional sense. There are no meetings, no membership, no group chat. But there is a recognition, a resonance, a knowing that you are not alone in this, even when you are alone. We are the ones who left the party early, the ones who stopped pretending, the ones who chose depth over visibility, presence over performance, truth over belonging. And we gather here, in spaces like this, in the quiet, in the stillness, not to be but to be held. This channel is not a stage. It is a sanctuary. It is a room you can return to whenever the world becomes too loud, whenever you need to remember that this withdrawal is holy, whenever you need to be reminded that you are not lost, you are found. And we will be here. Not with answers, not with teachings, but with presence. Because sometimes that's all you need, to know that someone else understands, that someone else is walking this path, that someone else is living in the silence and finding it full. You belong here, not because you've earned it, not because you've achieved anything, but because you heard the call, and you answered, and that is enough. So what does it actually feel like? This place you're inhabiting? Let me try to name it, even though words feel insufficient. It feels like weightlifting, like gravity releasing its hold, like you've been carrying something for so long that you forgot it was there, and suddenly it's gone. It feels like forgetting your name. Not in a dissociative way, but in the way that identity becomes less rigid, less defended, less necessary. It feels like time slowing down. Or maybe you're just noticing it differently. The seconds feel longer. The moments feel fuller. There is less urgency, less rushing toward the next thing. It feels like your senses are opening. Colors look different. Sounds have more texture. Silence has a presence. You notice things you never noticed before, not because they're new, but because you're finally paying attention. It feels like loneliness and belonging at the same time. You are alone, yeah, but you are also held by something vast, something that was always there, but that you couldn't feel until you stopped moving. It feels like grief and relief in the same breath. Grief for who you were, relief that you no longer have to be that person. It feels like nothing is happening, and everything is happening. And most of all, it feels like home, like you've been searching for something your entire life, and you finally found it. And it was inside you all along. This is inner stillness. This is what it feels like to stop running, to stop performing, to stop trying to be anything other than what you are. And it is enough. You are enough. Right here, right now, in the silence. You've been waiting for clarity, haven't you? For the moment when it all makes sense, when the reason for this season reveals itself, when you finally understand why you had to withdraw, why you had to be still, why you had to let go of everything you thought you knew. And maybe that moment will come. Maybe one day you'll look back and see the pattern, the purpose, the divine design. But maybe not. Maybe some things aren't meant to be understood. Maybe some experiences are meant to be lived, not analyzed. Because here's what I've learned. Some answers arrive without sound. They don't come as thoughts. They don't come as revelations. They don't come with clarity or certainty or a neat little bow. They come as knowing, as felt sensei, as a quiet shift in your being that you can't quite name, but that you absolutely trust. You stop asking why. You stop needing a reason. You stop waiting for permission to move forward. You who's to know, and that knowing is enough. This is the gift of silence. It teaches you to trust what cannot be spoken, to honor what cannot be explained, to rest in mystery instead of demanding answers. Before we close, I want to invite you to do something. Leave a single word below that represents where you are right now. Just one. We'll understand. We've come to the end. But not really, because this isn't the kind of space you leave. It's the kind of space you carry with you. Before you click away, before you return to the noise, before you step back into the world that demands so much of you, stay here for just a moment longer. Feel the stillness. Notice the quiet. Let yourself be held by this presence that asks nothing of you. You don't need to be anything other than what you are right now. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to know what comes next. You just need to be here. Fully. Completely. Without apology. And when you do leave, when you close this video and return to your life, take this with you. The silence remains. The stillness remains. This room remains. You can come back anytime you need to, anytime the world gets too loud, anytime you forget that this withdrawal is holy, anytime you need to be reminded that you are not alone. This space will be here, waiting, holding, witnessing. Because that's what sacred spaces do. They don't demand, they don't perform, They don't change to accommodate the world. They simply remain. Constant, steady, available, and so do you. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. In the silence, in the stillness, in the sacred pause, and from everything is possible. Not because you will do something great, not because you will become someone impressive, but because you will finally, fully, completely be yourself. And that, my friend, is the greatest gift you can give the world. Not your productivity, not your performance, not your constant availability, but your presence, your authenticity, your willingness to be still in a world that never stops moving. This room doesn't close. It waits. And so do I.